So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. Well, I guess I could say more like another video this week because my schedule's been a little bit more accelerated due to all the stuff happening with this trip. So I'm trying to sneak in as many videos as I can before I head off to Colorado again. But this video is going to be a little bit different format than we're normally used to, and it falls somewhere in between my formal videos that you guys have normally seen on my reviews and the live streams that we do from occasion or from time to time. And this is going to be more of like a informal review of things that have already been done a lot. So this is just something that I've been kind of playing around in my brain, and I kind of wanted to do something where it's a little bit more like personal and a little bit more informal, just so we can kind of get a better understanding of a product without all of sort of the hoopla and fanfare and all that other sort of stuff that normally goes in a video. Don't get me wrong, I love doing those videos, but there are certain times where I don't think that I need to go through all of that just to get my point across. And it kind of got inspired by listening to Gabe Bondoc, because he used to do, back in like old YouTube days, he used to do some things called one-take sessions. I think he might do them still today, but basically he would just, do a song in one take. So this is going to be me sort of just doing a review in one take. So there will still be cuts sort of to take out the fluff on the sort of review, as well as sort of B-roll to sort of mask it a bit. But for the most part, it's just going to be a single take, me talking to you about a topic that I think is important. And yeah, hopefully this is something that sort of sticks around, just because these are a little bit easier to make, but it's also sort of a little bit more personal. So less polished, but I still think it's going to be worthwhile. So the reason why I kind of want to do this is because I do have these headphones, and these are the Sony WH-1000XM4s, and I've had these for a while. I got these a while ago, and I've been actually rocking with these for a while in terms of I had the very first generation of them. However, over the years, I've gifted the XM3s to a lot of people, even the XM4s. And it's just something that's been a staple in my sort of over-ear arsenal for a while. And some people ask me, like, are those the best ones? Is that the reason why you keep them? And to be honest, it's not. There's a very specific reason I use these, but it's not because they're the best in terms of wireless over ears. There's plenty of other ones that are better. There's plenty of wires that like smash that. However, it has found a place in my arsenal for a while. So like, while I do love things like the Drop X Pandas or even the Audi's Mobius, which is something else I'm reviewing right now, or doing the shots for, there's just certain things that, while those have tremendously better quality, they just don't have certain features that are important for me casually. So if I'm not trying to listen critically or really just try to be sort of more audiophilic, it ends up being just, I can go back to the Sonys. So I think breaking it down into a bunch of different reasons of why I use them, and kind of going into the form factor and the normal stuff that we do in a review, but less about the specs and more of just like my overall feels about each category and some competitors that probably do it better, and why I still go with the Sonys. So let me take these off. Again, they come in a nice case. Sony's really good about keeping it very flat and very, very compact for travel. It comes with an aux cable, and it does come with a converter, but I lost it. Don't really use it, so not a big traveler in that instance, but I don't need to have that converter because usually they have an aux plug. But yeah, these are the guys. I got it in midnight blue just because it's the only version I did not gift. So these are like a little bit different from the ones my friends have. But yeah, I like the overall aesthetic. In terms of the form factor, it's just extremely small. It's just portable. It's super lightweight. And there's really no nonsense. There's little hassle. I think that's what I like about it. I like the fact that these articulate towards, your collarbone in terms of the padding. Things like the QC35s, those do not. So that was actually my very first review. But I did the QC35s, and they kind of went like this. So while it wasn't too bad, you could see like the left and rights, it still felt comfortable. If you're like running to, get into your next gate or whatever it might be, these things hitting your collarbone ain't fun. But with the Sonys, you don't have that issue because it is padded accordingly. So that's one of the reasons why I did end up liking it, even from the way back when I started this channel. In terms of like the overall like fit, it's just really, well, I mean, still going on to the form factor, it's just, there's not a lot of superfluous things. So I know there's certain other headphones out there that have a little bit of wires on them, like in terms of connection, but everything's really hidden. And I love the fact that everything is hidden and I don't have to really fuss with it. Like there's no like crazy tension knobs, or there's no crazy like expanders that I have to deal with and worry about breaking. There, it's all just very well contained, and it's really slim on the head. So like that's the reason why these are so great, is because it just has a low profile. They stay out of the way, and that's why I like them. The QC35s are very similar. They'll do about the same size. I think these have become a lot less bulbous. So the first generations were extremely bulbous, like they kind of stuck out a little bit more. They've gotten really good about slimming it down. The QC35s, they just don't look as sleek. I would say they look very utilitarian for sure, but I think they do keep some sleekness, but just the lines on the Sony just make them look a lot better and a lot less bulky. Obviously, if you go things to like, the Apples, the AirPod Maxes, those are a little bit more in your face. They are slim in terms of like close to ear, but the headband is very in your face, and just the design is very striking. Some people like that. I actually don't mind that. But there's just stuff with like the headband, which I wish they were a little bit more cognizant of. So in terms of portability and form factor, this just makes the most sense. When we start going into comfort and fit, it's a give and take. So overall, I think these are like the lightest headphones, and then the sort of noise canceling true wireless over ears, not true wireless, just wireless over ears. And yeah, they really don't feel like anything on your head. So like I've done long flights, I've done flights to Singapore, all this other sort of stuff that extremely long. However, these end up holding up extremely well. I don't get fatigue. The clamp's not too hard. It does come a little bit clampy at the first, but they loosen up real quick. So after like your first session of burning it in, it shouldn't have any issues with the clamping force. So it's very light in terms of that. In terms of other things, I want to say that the Apple's probably a little bit more comfortable, just because they do have that like sort of basket sort of dealy on the headband. So it does do a little bit more to cushion. Sometimes you get pressure points on this on very, very long times, or if you're wearing them too tightly. So as much as it's very cushioned, it can create sort of a pressure there if you're wearing it wrong. But I'm trying to think of the QC35s. I think that has a pretty nice headband. It's a little bit finicky if you have hair, because I've seen it catch on some people's hair because of that Alcantara setup on the top. So the Alcantara is just cloth instead of leather. So this slides a little bit better if you have hair. So if you're trying to like, slide it on, use it as a headband, it works a little bit better. The Alcantara does the same thing, but it gets a little bit snaggy, and you might get some hair caught in your headband. So that's just something to consider. In terms of the ear cups, obviously, these aren't the biggest ear cups, but they're comfortable. They fit most people's ears that I've given to. If you have really large or protruding ears, these do fit really close to the head, so you're not going to have that sort of cavity to fit your ear into. It does slope out in terms of like, it does slope to accommodate for the ear a little bit. However, it doesn't do it as big as like if you had like a proper over ear that was wired, they're gonna have big cavities for your ears to sit inside of. But that's just kind of the nature of the beast with these. I think with the QC35s, you definitely have more space. I forgot what it was, the Bose 700s. Those do not. Those end up being kind of small in comparison from what I remember feeling. But the QC35s do have a little bit more gap in there. I would say also same thing with the Apple's AirPod Max. They're going to have a little bit more cavity for your ears to sit in. They also have a little bit different setup. So I think pleather or fake leather is used for a lot of these headphones, but the AirPod Max is actually use cloth, a mesh sort of material that breathes a little bit easier. So yeah, they're gonna be a little bit better in terms of overheating if that ends up happening with you. I don't really have a tremendous issue. It's just when I get into longer listening sessions, like say like 6 to 10 hours. So like on a flight, sometimes I just have to decompress by like taking them off and just letting my ears breathe a little bit. That could be the materials. That could just be the close fit to the ears. They do heat up over very long sessions, but if you're just doing something like a work day, and you're probably not going to feel it, but inside of a cabin with a bunch of people around you in a flight, like you might feel that sort of overheating. So keep that in mind if that's something that happens to you. The Sony, or not the Sony's, the Apple AirPod Max is probably much better in terms of that sort of open air feeling, just because of the materials that they use and the pattern that they use on their padding, or the pattern they use on their padding. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from a comfort perspective. The articulation is nice. So it does articulate both ways, like 180 one way, but then like just a little bit, just enough to give you a little bit of shape contouring. So again, it fits really snugly on your head, and I love that. I could get a really quick jog in. I could run and get errands. I can run across the street without it falling off. And it doesn't feel like my head is swaying around like it does with these. Between the lightweight and the nice clamp, these guys, like I can feel these. Like if I wear the Pandas on my head, they're there. And when I do this, they sway. It's very present. And there are some other headphones like that out there. Like not Audio-Technicas, those are pretty fun. But yeah, there's some other ones out there that sway a little bit more. The Apples sway a little bit. I think it's just because they're using metals, so they're a little bit heavier. And they're just bigger on your head. But sway may not matter to a lot of you, but it's just something that I notice when I turn my head and things like that. Let's see. From a feature perspective, this is kind of where like Sony starts pulling away. From a gesture perspective, I do like the gestures. While I do like the crown that is on the AirPod Max Pros, they're reliable and they're tactile. I like them. However, maybe it's just because I've gotten so used to the Sonys, but having the ability to sort of just swipe gesture, some people complain about it, but for me, it's extremely reliable, and it just works. It works in rain too, which is great. Obviously, it doesn't work through a hood or anything like that, but it does work with the weather, even in colder conditions, which I find impressive. I haven't actually tried it with a touch glove. I don't know if I have one of those with me, but yeah, I think that because they stood up to the winter in Boston, I was impressed. But the gestures are just super nice. It's just very intuitive to flick up and flick down for volume, back and forward for tracks, tap, stop, hold for assistant. It's just it's intuitive. Once you get it, it's just kind of like following along by playing. So I think the gestures are extremely good. The other one that's great, the thing that I love the most, is that the quick attention. I don't even know if they call it quick attention on these ones, but on the, what do you call it? The earbud version, they do call it quick attention. But yeah, this, is just basically full transparency mode, which is amazing, because if I'm on a flight, which is the most use case that I use it, I can just do this, give the flight attendant my order, and then go back to my music without having to take things off. It's also really nice in the office too. If someone taps me on the shoulder, or if I see someone pass by, I can do this and get a full understanding of what they're saying. And I think that is one of the most convenient features that I've seen. And I wish they did it on more headphones. I mean, it might be something that's patented or protected by Sony, but it's something I would like to see on other things. In terms of other things that are cool, multi-connect is something that they added to the XM4s, which is something they did not have on the XM3s. So it's really cool to have that ability to connect to two devices. It's something that I really like from Jabra options is like it's just smart enough to know to switch between, so I can play music on my computer or play music on my phone, and it'll just switch automatically. It's not so seamless as seamless on the Sonys, but the fact that I can do sort of a hot swap is nice because it does help me, especially within work when I'm, trying to take a call from my phone or trying to switch it to the desktop, or just trying to switch my music around if I decide to like step away from my desk. It's just very nice to have that ability to just bang, bang, back and forth. It's really awesome. Which kind of leads me into the app, because you kind of can control all that through the app. Sony probably has one of the better apps out there. It definitely has like a ton of features in terms of not gesture correction, because that's more of a for like the earbuds that they have, but like it's more around like tuning in your ANC, tuning in your transparency, having those modes that allow you to do things. And I think that there's a lot of things inside that app and some things that you need to deactivate. So like some of the stuff is like I stopped the adaptive stuff because it just started playing around too much when I'm walking around. Like it'll sense when you're walking, it'll sense when you're in a loud area, it'll sense like it. It's cool in theory. However, it just messes with the audio signature so much when I'm just like doing different things throughout the day. I didn't like it, so I just shut that feature off. But otherwise, you can EQ the thing. You definitely need to EQ these things, and we'll get back into that in the sound part of this, but like you definitely need to EQ these things, but at least they give you some EQ. It's not the most powerful EQ. It's not going to like, revolutionize the headphone. However, if you do need to tune in a sound, or your ears are tuned a certain way, you can get some steps in the right direction using that equalizer. So I do appreciate how much effort they've put in the app, because a lot of companies, and if you've been watching my reviews, a lot of companies don't care about their app. It's just like something that they have because it's default. So that's the reason why I appreciate Sony for the thoughtfulness that they've put into the app that actually helps the headphone be better. Not just something that's just there to give you like a couple options, like Master and Dynamic. I don't know why they do that, but anyway. But in terms of features, like we obviously have to talk about ANC and Transparency. ANC is the best. Probably the best. AirPod Max Pro, probably better. At least in terms of like ANC though, not Transparency. They're close. They're very close. I would say they're tied. I want to say that the Sonys are better. Bose also goes up there, but the reason why I don't go with the Bose is because I do get a little bit sick with it. So I've done long flights with the Bose QC35s, and the ANC is just not for me. It works with a lot of people. I know like a lot of my coworkers love the QC35s, but for me, the ANC from Bose, just like whether it's earbuds or their over ears, it just gives me a little bit of cabin sickness or cabin pressure sickness, and I don't really like that, especially if I'm already going to be in a flight. I don't need an additional sort of cabin pressure there. The benefit with the Sonys is that they do have some sort of like sensor that also helps to relieve that pressure from the earbud or the headphones. Sorry, done so many earbuds. From the headphones, so there's a pressure or like an atmosphere detection that will help adjust it for you. So there's some smartness in the headphone, which I appreciate. But the ANC from the Sony just a little bit more pleasurable to me. Again, the Apples, because of their mics, I think they're pretty quality. But Sony's just been doing this so good since the first version of these, and they've just been improving over time. And the addition of the app also just makes it better. So for me, that's the reason why. And that's like peace of mind to me, like when it's being in airports, being in the city, being at work, like just being able to block it out, super key for me. So that's one of the reasons why I stick with these, is because of how powerful that is. In terms of the transparency mode, it's pretty solid, especially after you like do quick attention. You can hear stuff. Absolutely, you can definitely hear stuff. It's not as natural as the AirPods Max Pro for sure. Like that one, their mics are just so good. Like on that, like everything Apple does with mics is basically solid. Like it's the clearest rendering of the voice from transparency mode, and just even conversations. So it just ends up being super dope for that. So from the transparency perspective, the Apple just wins the day across, like I think across the board of over ears. but Sony does a decent amount of job in terms of that. Like I can still hear my barista, I can still hear things around me, I can still hear cars, I can stay safe, I can be on my one wheel and still like hear everything. So it's nothing that's going to impair you. It's just not the absolute top. It's top tier, just not the absolute top. But you know, for a flight, these guys love them. Oh, so I forgot on the features, like the batteries, obviously really, really good on these two. I haven't had them. I mean, you know, I need to charge them every now and then, but like I've done multiple days without a charge and it's been great. And I haven't had to like worry about it. So it's not something that needs to be on the charge all the time unless you're doing like full day sessions. But you know, I can get through a work week, almost like the whole work week with just this guy. And then we get into something that's annoying. Well, maybe we'll get that last. Like, let's talk about, since we just came from transparency, let's talk about microphones, which I think is probably the thing I hate the most about these headphones, and in general what Sony's doing. Consistently, Sony has the freaking worst. I was holding myself back there because I don't want to get demonetized. The freaking worst mics I've seen. They've gotten better. So like their XM4 earbuds are actually decent. Still not the best though. Like they've improved. But like improving from crap is still kind of crap. So initially when I heard them, because I think it was one of the first earbuds I did when I came and actually started taking this channel seriously. I was super surprised. I was like, oh my God, it sounds so much better than they used to. And then I started doing all these things because you guys keep asking everyone about the PI5s, PI7s, Master Dynamics, Soundcores. All of them smash it. It started off so high, like, oh my God, they're actually listening to us. And then you realize that the whole market has just evolved so heavily that yeah, they were just never ahead. They just, you know, if you were just in the Sony landscape only, you got bamboozled into thinking they got better, but they didn't. They just are still lagging. So from a conferencing perspective, it's okay. Like it's not like completely indiscernible. And if you're in a quiet setting, it's okay. Like if I'm in this setting here right now, just talking to clients, they're not going to complain. However, every single time I use these headphones in an airport or outside in the world, the mics crap out. Like they can't hear me at all. They just complain all the time. It's like, oh, you sound robotic. Oh, you sound muffled. Oh, I can't hear you over what's in the background. So like earbuds do better than these, which is sad because you have way more space to do stuff with, way more space to just do stuff with. So like, why can't you put a good mic in here? And especially like if they've been listening to comments, feedback, reviews, the mics are consistently the worst thing about these headphones and all of their products. So like, I know you can make a microphone. You do sell microphones. Can you put something in here to make it so I can actually use it in conferencing? Because the introduction of multi-connect was beautiful. The fact that I can just walk around and do all that sort of stuff, but it almost gets diminished by the fact that the mics are so terrible. Because like again, like I can hop swap and like transfer between meetings on my phone if I want to walk around to take a call, but I can't really walk outside my room or like anywhere else because the mics don't hold up. So let me stop here, and this will be like one of the cuts that I do, but like here, listen to this microphone. All right, so this is a recording on the Sony WH-1000XM4s. This is to give you guys an understanding of how this sounds just through a quiet setting. Obviously, I don't have a lot of noise to sort of get in the way of this, but this should give you a semblance of how clear this is. And again, it's serviceable, but not necessarily the clearest you've heard. If you've seen some of my other reviews, like a lot of earbuds surpass this, and a lot of over-ears definitely surpass this. So Sony has made strides. They made like baby steps, like inchworm steps in terms of their microphones, but it's something that's a weakness for them. So let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you could have conversations with your friends or your coworkers on, or is this something that Sony definitely needs to work on? You know my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments. So yeah, not the greatest, right? Nothing to write home about. It's serviceable, but not something that you prefer. I would use any of my earbuds over that almost all my headsets. So, I mean, the Pandas sound better. Yeah, I don't know what to tell. It's pretty bad. So yeah, that's basically mixing, conferencing, and then we finally get into sound quality. And I think this is the reason why people are surprised that I keep them around. From a sound quality perspective, they are similar. They're serviceable. They are not going to offend you. They are warm. The bass can get muddy, hence why I said that you need to tune these. And some of you might not be comfortable with that, and that's fine. But that, like, if once you start getting like into the headphone game and start listening to music more like critically, you'll figure out how you need to move it. It's a good exercise to play around with, especially with something like Sony that gives you an app that allows you to play around with it. They have some presets, you know, they have a useful app. This is a perfect time to play around with it, because for most people, I will say this, for most people, most genres, it'll work. It'll work. And especially if they haven't heard, if you like, you've just been listening to, you know, AirPods, or you've just been listening to, I don't know, just some headphones that like I don't know, like is it like the Hesh from Skull Candy or something like that. Like if you're coming from just like lower like, you know, standard audio, entry level audio, these are gonna sound great. Like a lot of people were like, wow, these sound amazing. And like I just hear all the comments in my head, like of all you guys probably like laughing at that. But come on, they're new to the game. They have only used like sort of like mainstream or like entry level audio devices, so they haven't heard it all. It's like they just haven't heard the detail and all that other stuff. Like this just misses certain things, right? Like it's not the strongest in the mids to bring out that detail. The trebles, you know, are you know, not harsh. They're just very pleasant. They don't overly sparkle. They're just very pleasant, and like that's kind of the headphones. Like they're just very pleasant. So like someone coming from entry level is gonna think they're amazing, and I'm totally down with that. However, over time, I'd imagine like, and especially if they try another headphone, they try a Sennheiser, they try a Panda, they try something like that, they're gonna notice the difference, and then being able to play with that EQ is gonna be key, because then you can get a little bit more bass out of it. You can get a little bit more mid out of it. It's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be the cleanest thing. It's not going to be the clearest signature, but it will sound better after you tune it. I think the biggest thing is that like Sony still has some issues with sub bass coming out clear. So there's a lot of times with these guys that I just dial back the bass a lot just to keep it clean. But that doesn't necessarily keep it absolutely emphasized in the way that I want it, whilst keeping away from the mud. So there are instances where certain songs and certain mixes get muddy with these out of the box. I'll dial it back and it'll sound cleaner, but then now it's not missing some punch. So that's like a little quirk that I've noticed with these, and that's sort of like my frustration. But the reason why I don't do things over that is because like these are just easier to travel with. Like these are heavier. These just require a lot more like effort. They don't pack away as easy. Yeah, like I can't fold these down really. They're like a stiffer material. So like this is really good at home, maybe even office. Don't get me wrong, I love the Pandas, and we're gonna be revisiting these guys. But just like it's just more involved. These guys, I don't have to worry about them. They're gonna work. I have no issues with like the technicality of them. They'll never really be harsh. They're benign and useful and extremely good. So I think that's the reason why, is because they have all the features that I want without, I don't have to play around with my phone. I can stay away from my phone. I can zone out the world. And I think the reason why I keep these around is really just for travel, because traveling with these guys sucks. Like with the Pandas or any other headphone really kind of sucks. But these ones are lightweight. I can throw them in my bag and not worry about, like I can throw them in the bag like this. I can fold them down and throw them in like this. I can lay them flat. I can do the weird like super compact and flat. So like if it's in like a briefcase, I can put it in there. If I'm having my friend hold it in her purse, it can go into there. If, you know, I want to just throw in a backpack, it can go like in real easy. Like no thoughts. It's literally just like, it'll be there when I need it. I can pull it out whenever I want to. And I think that's the really big reason why I keep these around, is because I need something like that for flights. I have tried. I have tried to take things like the Mobius on flights, and it is the worst experience ever. I will like literally text my friends like, this sucks. Because while the sounds good, I still can hear everything. I hear crying babies. You hear every person's conversation. Here, I'll recreate a meme for you guys. This is basically what happens. Yeah, it's just not the most pleasurable experience traveling when you're using these guys. And the other big issue is like, not only do they let sound in, but like sometimes I'll crank my volume because I want to like, you know, zone people out, and I don't have those ANC features, and it'll leak. Like, these will leak sound. People will hear your music, and it just takes away from you being able to like be by yourself, stealth through a city, just in your own world, in your music. Love them, trust me. I love these guys for audio quality and being able to get the most out of my music when I want that. However, if I'm running around the city, running and gunning, just doing like casual things where I'm not critically listening, I'd prefer the Sonys. Just because I don't bother anyone, no one bothers me, I don't notice anything, I'm just stuck on my tasks, and I love that. So that's one of the big reasons why these matter to me. So lastly, price. Panda's really expensive. Mobiuses can be kind of expensive depending on what they go in deal. Obviously, the Apple AirPods Pro are, or sorry, AirPod Max. God, AirPod Maxes are extremely expensive. I hope they really bring that down, because they could hit a bigger market with that. But I get it, got to be premium. But those are really, really expensive. The reason why I love these is while they retail at $350. I think that like the QC35s are similar too. These often go on sale, like all the time. I've seen them as low as $250 on Amazon, and it's great. So like on those deals, and it usually comes around like the holidays too, which is perfect. Hence why I get these for people's gifts. They come down to $250. Do they come even further down? I feel like they've come down even further. I feel like I've seen this for $178. I feel like I've seen these for like ridiculously cheap prices. Like, let me just double check this real fast. And you know, the thing I hate about this is Sony has like the same headphone, but one's WF and one's WH. I'm pretty sure WH is the one. Wireless headphone. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. So 350 is the standard. However, if you did, let's see, 250. Yeah, so they usually go on sale for 250. However, you can get refurbs for like 170. And like, I know, guys. Some people don't like refurbs. I like refurbs, especially if it's something that I'm gonna beat up anyway. It's not gonna be my main driver for like audiophile stuff. I'll do a refurb. Like it works exactly the same. It might have a blemish here and there, but if you just want something to beat up and have good quality, 170 is dope for these. 170 for like the best noise canceling, lightest, easiest to use, dope gestures. Like 170, who cares if it has a little bit of a blemish on it? Like, I would do that. But yeah, 250 otherwise. 250 or 278, I believe, is what that usually shows up on Amazon for me. But on the holidays, it goes down even lower sometimes. So they go on sale a ton, and I think that you guys should, like, if you're in the market for noise canceling headphones and you don't want to break the bank on the AirPods, and you know you're coming from entry level, these are gonna do splendid for you. Again, there's obviously that option between Bose and Sony. That's a personal preference. For me, the Sonys just win out in terms of just like the ANC not making me sick, the sleekness of it, and then the gesture controls. So that's basically the reason why I keep them around. And while they'll probably stay keeping around, I'm not going to upgrade every year. I don't care that much unless they do something crazy, like if they improve the mics, which they probably never will. But I've upgraded this like the 4th generation. While people, it hasn't been 4 years since it came out, but like, yeah, 4 generations. I got the 1s and I got the 4s. I'll probably get the 8s. Like, I'm not going to upgrade if they come out with a 5 unless there's a really compelling, convincing argument, like a new mic or more multi-connects, like being able to connect to multiple things. So yeah, I think that if you can grab them, they're great. They'll last you a long time. Like even with the XM, like the XM1s, I don't even want to say XM1s, just the originals, the OGs, those lasted me forever. And those were like the oldest technology ever, but they still held up. There was no breakages. It was still strong. I could technically still use it, but I just ended up donating them once I got these. So yeah, I think that's the reason why I love these so much and I keep them around. I do have frustrations, obviously, that I've explained in this video, but they're still a staple. So yeah. So that was basically the review. I know it's a lot more informal. I hope you guys like this format. I'll see what else I can do that's kind of like this. This was just the easiest thing to think about because there's a ton of reviews that you guys can watch around these guys. It's been out for a while, so that's the reason I don't want to put a tremendous amount of like editing effort into telling you the same stuff that you've probably watched already. So at least this will give you guys an understanding of where I'm coming from, of why they're important to me. But yeah, anyway, I know that's been a long video. But yeah, I'll see you guys shortly. There's going to be a live stream tomorrow around another Sony product, Sony Link Buds. And these guys are open ear earbuds. And we're going to do a listening session. So that listening session essentially is just everybody sitting on the chat with me and basically figuring out like how these sound. So it's going over songs that you guys care about. I'll give you my takes on them and it'll contribute to how I review them at the end. But yeah, so we'll have that live stream on Friday. And then there's another video, guys, coming for you guys on Sunday, hopefully, if I can finish editing it before I head out for Colorado. So a lot of content coming. Please stay tuned. If you guys like what you saw, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all the things you normally do on a video that you like and love. And I appreciate you guys sticking around with all new content. I know some of it's not exactly what you guys want in terms of only tech, but I'm trying to diversify what we show on this channel. So I appreciate you guys being on this journey with me and helping this channel grow. Again, all the new subs, thank you guys so much for helping us grow to this point. And also my OGs, thank you for always joining the live streams and contributing your thoughts to this channel. It always helps us get better, and I love you for it. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you. Peace.